Welcome to Wild Ties, where survival, instinct, and the unexpected meet at the edge of the wild. Today's story begins with a sound that doesn't belong on a beach. A roar. It wasn't powerful and proud. It was desperate, sharp, a cry for help. Kwame Zuberi, a young African wildlife researcher, was walking along the sands of Tsitsikama National Park, collecting sea life samples. The early sun was rising, waves crashed softly, and then that sound again, a roar, echoing from above. Kwame looked up, and his heart nearly stopped. There, hanging off a crumbling cliff, was a lion, a full-grown male, huge. His claws scraped wildly at the rock as his back legs kicked into the air. He was dangling more than 30 feet above sharp, jagged rocks. Below him, nothing but death. Kwame froze. A lion? On a seaside cliff? But this wasn't the time to ask questions. He dropped everything and ran, scrambling up the cliffside, rock cutting into his palms, adrenaline pumping in his chest. When he reached a stable spot above the lion, he saw it clearly. The animal was shaking, muscles trembling, mouth foaming. The lion had been holding on for a long, long time, and he was losing strength. "Easy, boy," Kwame whispered, heart racing. "I'm going to help you." The lion looked up, not with anger, not with fear, with something else, something Kwame would never forget. Trust. Kwame had no rope, no tranquilizer, no rescue team, just a belt and his jacket. With shaking hands, he tied them into a makeshift rope and leaned dangerously over the edge. One hand gripped the rock. The other guided the belt down toward the lion. And here's where things got unreal. The lion didn't panic. He didn't thrash. He shifted toward the rope, almost as if he understood. Slowly, carefully, Kwame looped the belt around the lion's massive chest. Every second felt like forever. A single slip, and they'd both fall. But inch by inch, they made it work. "Climb," Kwame whispered. "I'll hold you. Just climb." And the lion did. He pushed with his hind legs, searching for cracks in the stone, while Kwame pulled with every muscle in his body. Together, man and lion, they fought gravity. After nearly an hour of slow, painful progress, the lion's paws landed on a small ledge. Kwame gave one last pull, and suddenly they were both safe. But not for long. They were still stuck, perched on a dangerous section of cliff. No path down, no help in sight. The lion panted heavily, close to collapse. Kwame's hands were bloody, his legs shaking. And yet, the lion stayed beside him. That's when Kwame spotted a series of tiny footholds, carved by centuries of wind and sea. A path, barely visible, deadly for most animals. But it was their only chance. He grabbed his phone, called his research partner. "Sarah, bring the emergency rope kit to Tsitsikama Beach. I'm stuck on a cliff with a lion." Her reply, "You're what?" "Long story. Just hurry." But Kwame couldn't wait. So he did the impossible. He began guiding the lion down the cliff. Step by step, whisper by whisper. The lion didn't run, didn't panic. He followed Kwame's lead. He trusted his pace. He waited for direction. They moved together, inch by inch, over sharp rock and sheer drop. 2 hours passed, until finally their feet touched sand. They collapsed side by side on the beach, both exhausted, both alive. That's when Dr. Sarah Chen and the wildlife rescue team arrived. What they saw, it didn't seem real. A man, a lion, sitting beside each other like old friends. Dr. Patricia Williams, the lead vet, said it best. "I've never seen anything like this. He should be dead, or attacking. But his calm, his attached." And she was right. Every time Kwame stepped away, the lion grew agitated. He would pace, search, panic, until Kwame returned. "He sees you as part of his pride," the vet said. "That's not normal. That's something else entirely." The plan was to take the lion to a nearby rehabilitation center. But when they tried to put him in the crate, he refused, growling, staring, searching for Kwame. Dr. Williams turned to him and said, "Would you come with us? I think he needs you." Kwame nodded. No question about it. And so they rode together into the unknown. A man, a lion, a bond that had just begun. But what happened next would shake everything we thought we knew about wild animals, emotion, and memory. Now, the story continues inside a place that's supposed to be safe. But for this lion, safety means someone very specific. Kwame Zuberi sat quietly in the back of the wildlife transport vehicle. He kept his eyes on the crate behind him. Inside, the lion lay still, calm, breathing slow, but only because he could see Kwame. Every time Kwame moved out of view, even for a moment, the lion would stir, grow anxious, and start to growl softly. It was like separation made him uneasy, as if something deep inside him feared being alone again. 30 minutes later, they arrive at the Rehabilitation Center, a well-equipped sanctuary for injured wildlife. The lion was gently guided into a large, secured enclosure. It had everything he needed: shade, fresh water, food, and soft ground. But he didn't care about any of that. He walked straight to the side of the fence closest to where Kwame stood and sat down. And there he stayed, watching him, quiet, still. Dr. Patricia Williams, the lead veterinarian, made careful notes. Her face was a mix of curiosity and disbelief. "I've worked with wild lions for over 20 years," she said. "I've never seen this. He's treating you like a pride member, like family." Kwame nodded, but he was still trying to understand it himself. The lion wouldn't eat unless Kwame was nearby. He didn't rest until he heard Kwame's voice. He didn't move unless Kwame did. And that night, something happened that changed everything. Kwame had planned to return to his research station, but something in his gut, maybe instinct, told him to stay. He rolled out a sleeping bag just outside the lion's enclosure. The moon was full, the air quiet, and just as he was drifting off to sleep, he heard it, a low rumble, not a growl, not a warning, a soft, almost musical sound, like a whisper from deep within the lion's chest. Kwame sat up. The lion was there, pressed gently against the fence, as close as he could be, and he was making those sounds. Soft, rhythmic, peaceful. "You're talking to me, aren't you?" Kwame whispered. The lion rumbled louder and pressed his forehead against the chain link. Kwame moved closer, put his hand gently on the other side of the fence. The lion placed his paw against Kwame's. For minutes, they sat like that. No movement, no fear, just connection. A moment so strange, it felt sacred. By morning, Dr. Williams arrived and found them still there, man and lion, side by side, divided only by steel. Her words were simple, but heavy. "This is impossible. Wild lions don't do this. They don't seek touch. They don't vocalize gently to humans. And they never form emotional bonds. But this lion, he broke every rule. He remembered. He attached. He trusted. And now, the team faced a new problem. How do you release a lion who doesn't want to leave? The plan had been simple. Feed him, let him rest, then release him back to the wild. But the lion refused to eat unless Kwame was nearby. Every time they tried to test separation, he became distressed, pacing, growling, looking for the only person who made him feel safe. Dr. Williams turned to Kwame. "If we release him now, he might try to find you again. He's too attached, too human-focused. We need a new plan." Kwame stood there, torn between what was best for the lion and the bond that neither of them chose, but both of them needed. And then, an idea. Return him to the place where it all began. The beach. The one place the lion had fought to survive. The place he had connected with Kwame, the moment he had felt safe for the very first time. Would it work? Would the lion remember? Would he understand? It was time to go? What happened next would be captured on camera and become one of the most watched wildlife moments in history. Soft ambient lion rumble fades in. Join us in the final chapter, where a lion digs up the past to show the world something deeper than survival. He shows us memory, love, and goodbye. For 2 days, a wild lion refused to let go of the human who saved him. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't rest, wouldn't move unless Kwame Zuberi was near. The bond between them was so strong, So deep that the rescue team faced a heartbreaking question. How do you set a lion free when his heart is still holding on? Then Kwame had an idea. Take him back to the beach, he said, to where we both survived. It was bold, risky, but maybe it was what the lion needed. So the team loaded the lion into the transport crate once again. But this time, he wasn't anxious. He was alert, energized. He looked around like he knew where they were going. When they reached Sitsakama Beach, everything changed. The moment the ocean air filled his lungs, the lion stood tall. His eyes scanned the shoreline. His body tensed, but not in fear, in recognition. When the crate door opened, he didn't charge out. He walked, purposefully, straight to one spot in the sand. The spot where he and Kwame had collapsed after their cliffside escape. And then, right in front of everyone, cameras rolling, scientists watching, the lion began to dig. Paw after paw, he scooped sand away until he uncovered something buried beneath it. A piece of cloth, torn, dirty, frayed by salt and wind. It was a piece of Kwame's shirt, the one he had worn during the rescue. The lion picked it up gently in his jaws, walked to Kwame, and dropped it at his feet. Then he sat today, back straight, eyes locked, quiet, still. Kwame's breath caught in his throat. "He's giving me back a part of myself," he whispered. "He remembers. He's been thinking about this moment." Dr. Patricia Williams stood behind him, documenting every second. "This is symbolic behavior," she said, her voice low. "He's showing memory, emotional connection, and understanding of what that piece of fabric means." But the lion wasn't done. He turned and walked toward the edge of the ocean. There, with waves crashing in front of him, he let out a deep, rumbling sound, soft and strange. The same gentle vocalization he had made that night at the rehabilitation center. And when Kwame stepped beside him, the lion leaned in. He pressed his massive head against Kwame's hand and looked out at the sea, as if to say, "This is where we made it. This is where we lived." For a few quiet minutes, they stood together, man and lion, side by side at the water's edge, as the sun began to set behind the South African cliffs. Then the moment came. The lion turned. He didn't growl, didn't hesitate. He walked slowly, calmly, back toward the inland bush. But every few steps, he stopped and looked back, once, twice, a third time. And then, about 200 yards away, he sat down. He faced Kwame, raised his head, and let out a single roar. It wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It was a goodbye, a sound that didn't belong to science or instinct. It belonged to something else. Gratitude, memory, love. Dr. Williams had tears in her eyes as she recorded the sound. "He's made a new call," she said softly, "one that belongs to just this moment, just this bond." 3 months later, Kwame returned to the region. From a distance, he spotted the lion, strong, healthy, thriving. When their eyes met, the lion paused. Then Saturday, just like before, as if to say, "I remember, and I'm okay now." That final image of the lion who remembered the man who saved him became the centerpiece of new research on animal emotion, memory, and interspecies bonds. Kwame's journey proved something science had only guessed before, that lions feel more than we think, that loyalty can cross species, and that the wild has room for love.